the universe. What a concept.
Wow.
What's up, loser? Starfield is not a game. It's not. It's actually Todd Howard's attempt at creating a religion. And of course, I joined it. I was excited to join it. And since joining, I am now a depressed alcoholic who listens to hour-long repeats of sad boy TikTok songs. So naturally, this video is going to contain spoilers, but only for the main story missions. I'm not going to spoil the side missions. In my opinion, those are the better missions anyways. I did this one where I had to fight something called Terramorphs. They're just death claws. They're death claws from Fallout, but like they added an extra arm. And we get to meet Barack Obama. But we're not going to talk about any of that. So if you watch the video, there's still plenty of stuff to learn for yourself about this game. I'm sorry, but I like spoiling the entirety of games, because I think it's a waste of everybody's time to make another review for this game so I could fill it with 10 minutes of dumbass phrases like, oh, the shooting mechanics feel tight. They don't. The shooting mechanics feel loose.
Listen to me. Mining's just like any other job.
The game begins us as a miner, not like a Fallout 3 miner. We're not a little baby, okay? We're an adult miner. And we work for Deep Rock Galactic, and we need to recover an anomalous object. Anomaly means weird. Naturally, since we're the newest and most unexperienced employee, it is up to us to retrieve this weird space rock.
You're up. Something goes wrong in there.
Don't really care.
So we go into a cave with a bunch of floating little cube things. That's not weird. Don't even think about that. Just clear off the rocks and... but none of this matters because it's time to create your character. Who are you gonna be? Now, I so very much wanted to play as Ryan Gosling because, you know, I'm literally him, right? Why do all the sad, like, synthwave mixes put Ryan Gosling in the thumbnail? It's probably because I fucking click on him every time.
So cool.
But anyways, I didn't really want to spend like 3 hours in the character creator because I like to think I have better uses of my time. So this is what we ended up with. Not really Ryan Gosling, however, the plot thickens because we wrote some fanfic. So you see in the movie Blade Runner 2049, you have Ryan Gosling starring alongside Jared Leto. And this character, this guy looks like Jared Leto. You can't tell me, he's got like the eyes or something. You know, he just kind of looks like a creep. So my theory is that in Blade Runner 2049, Ryan Gosling and Jared Leto, you know, they got together and they knocked boots. So I'm like Ryan Gosling and Jared Leto's gay sex experiment baby. I wrote that all by myself, kind of deserve a little pat on the back. When creating a character, we get to choose some traits. We're a beast hunter because that just sounded cool. I also went with Dream Home because I wanted to sprinkle a little realism in there, and nothing is more relatable to me than having a crippling debt obligation in the form of a mortgage.
That is it. Mojo, Dojo, Casa House.
But I also wanted a little bit of fantasy, so I chose Kid Stuff. Kid Stuff is a trait that adds your parents to the game, and I really wanted to imagine what it would be like to have two healthy, happy parents. No, that's not depressing or anything.
Eat the sandwich.
After we create our character, we're told that the client who wanted to purchase said weird space rock shows up. It's this guy named Barrett, and he's basically like, yo, you're an explorer now for Constellation.
He's not some miner anymore, Lynn.
A group of space pirates that are trying to steal all the artifacts. They're space rocks. It's probably what we're going to call them most of the time. Within 2 minutes of meeting him, he literally gives us his ship and his robot, and then just kind of strands himself on this mining planet. I could be a murderer. I am going to be a murderer. I don't trust him. Guy's weird. But anyways, now that we're pretty much the Christopher Columbus of space, we head over to Alpha Centauri to visit New Atlantis. And it's not underwater. Kind of fucking stupid. I don't know why they named it New Atlantis. So one of the things you got to know about this game is there are 3 main factions. You got the United Colonies, which is just like bureaucracy, boring government, you know, just like one of those regular ass like military science factions. You have the Free Star Collective. The Free Star Collective is comprised of a bunch of bisexual cowboys. You know, somebody else made that joke in a video, and I thought it was so funny. I don't even remember what video I was watching. I just heard somebody else refer to the Free Star Collective as bisexual cowboys, and now that is what they are to me in my head. And then last, we have the Varun, or House Varun, and they are a bunch of weird snake-worshipping demon people.
I'm a snake.
Whatever, I didn't really care about them. But those are the three main factions of this game. Once we get to New Atlantis, we go to this place called The Lodge, and it's the cozy little hideout for the Constellation. Now, we're going to be working with these people the whole entire game pretty much, so we'll just do a quick rundown of who everybody is. First up, we have Sarah Morgan. It's a hot, blonde space pilot. But she was originally assigned to me as soon as I joined Constellation. It's kind of strange, give you a free girlfriend. Then we have Matteo. Oh God, I hate Matteo. I hate Matteo so much. He's like a dumbass Scientologist guy. He thinks that we got to space because we were dreaming about it.
And where do those dreams come from?
Going to sleep is a terrifying experience.
Or some dumbass spiritual garbage. I don't like this guy. Neil deGrasse Tyson's daughter is also there, and she's a scientist. Just kidding, she's a stripper. And then we have Walter, who is an old rich guy who pretty much funds all of Constellation.
Me? Wow.
I'm the cook.
He owns a ship company called Stroud in Eckland, but he never gives me a free ship, which is kind of bogus considering I am like his best employee by the end of this game. Oh, his wife is also too hot for him. So the point of Constellation is to find more of these space rocks because we don't know what the hell they are. And since I touched one of these fancy space rocks, I now am a full-on member of Constellation. So now that we met everybody and got to settle in, it's time to go to Mars.
If you're gonna pick some place to die, then why not Mars?
We gotta track down this UC Army guy, because I guess he has one of those neat little artifacts. He's been using it as a hood ornament, because he's like a dumbass army guy. He doesn't know what he has. But we gotta find him and get it back. We end up going to a star yard, which is space people talk for, I don't know, like the shipyard equivalent of spaceships. We kill a bunch of people there. In doing so, we find out where the UC Army guy we're looking for is. And this mission is hard. It's actually like really hard. I was not prepared for the combat to be so difficult at first. Don't you even try to comment that it's a skill issue and that the combat was easy for you. Okay, it's a little challenging for all of us at first, I'm sure. But yeah, because I kind of sucked with guns, later on in the game, I tried putting skill points into melee. That was a stupid idea. There's like no melee weapons in this game, so I'm running around with like a butter knife trying to kill space pirates. Eventually this mission leads us to Saturn, and after saving his life, he gives us the space rock. So we bring this back to the lodge, and after that, we need to work with Sam Coe, another member of Constellation. He originates from the Bisexual Cowboys. Oh, damn it, I wish I came up with that joke. But anyways, this Sam guy has a map that leads us to another artifact, and it's kept at a bank at the Freestar Collective's capital, Aquila City. But this place is a dump compared to New Atlantis. But once we get into the bank, it turns out the map's not there. And we need to now go to his dad's house to convince his dad to give him a treasure map that contains the location to one of those artifacts. I don't know how this is just getting brought up now. I mean, this guy seems like he's been with Constellation for a while. I don't know why we're just now finding his dad's space map. With a little bit more of our Jared Gosling persuasion, we convince his dad to give us the map, so we'll get the fuck out of his house. After we get the artifact, we dump those off at the lodge, and now we need to go back to Vectera. Vectera is the planet that we started on, where Barrett just decided to strand himself. The reason we're going back is to retrieve the stranded Barrett. And when we get back there, our old boss, Lynn, is convinced to join our harem.
Sure. I don't mind taking orders.
It's not really a harem yet, but my plan in this game was to just have an all-female crew. So it's just me, Ryan Gosling, literally him, flying around the galaxy with a bunch of hot young ladies. It never ended up working out like that. A couple of them died, and the ones that were there didn't really like me because of the decisions I was making, but I'm their boss. You don't have to like me, you just gotta keep working for me.
Don't question it, just roll with it, tiny baby.
But getting back to Vectera, we find out that Barrett's not even there. He got abducted by some mercenary gang called the Crimson Fleet or something, and now we gotta track him down. This is kind of like a frustrating mission because it's just another fetch quest. You gotta go to this place, find out he's not there, go to another place, find out he's not there, and then just collect clues until you end up finding him. Once we do find him, he's being held captive by like one of the bosses at the Crimson Fleet. And at first I thought he was like trying to double cross us because he was way too comfortable there. But it turns out, no, he was a prisoner, and with a little bit more persuasion, the crime boss just decides to let him go for nothing. And after we free Barrett, he tries to be one of our companions.
Why don't I stick around?
But no way I'm letting that penis on my ship. There's only one penis on my ship. Oh, it's my penis, damn it. Now we gotta go get more space rocks though. So we go to the Eye, which is just a James Webb Space Telescope ripoff. I guarantee you the guy who modeled this had the James Webb Space Telescope on the other screen. And the guy who runs the Eye is called Vladimir.
We got a rook on deck.
I was not expecting that accent because of, you know, he gives us the location to 2 more artifacts, and while getting one of them, we meet Andrea.
Don't come.
My fucking queen. I forgot all about Sarah at this point. I mean, her personality's flat. She was like a homeschooled kid, just kind of weird, but I love her. And I hope nobody out there actually cares about this information, but there's no Rule 34 for her or Sarah. I didn't look that up. Some weird guy in my Discord named Garvey sent me those pictures. So we get 2 more artifacts, and I don't even remember these missions. I think they were just like in caves or random outposts. Nothing too exciting happened getting these. But after we get these, we get sent to Pryasan, some star system for a special artifact. Because this one is in a temple. And once we find that temple, we get to, I don't know, dance around in 0 gravity, chasing light. We probably just got there and did heroin. Now that I think about it, that's probably what we did.
I do not live the healthiest life.
But after we leave the temple, we can now control gravity. Should not have tested it in the city. But when we get back to the lodge, everybody wants to see us bend space-time, and it freaks everybody the fuck out because we're literally God now. Matteo is in the corner, probably pissing in his own mouth because he's a weird loser. I don't think he peed in his mouth. But yeah, we have superpowers now because we found so many space rocks. And now we get to go on an adventure with Walter, the old man who is funding this whole Constellation Boy Scout troop.
My name is Walter.
And working with him, we need to go to Neon, which is like taking your grandpa to a rave. Neon is like the dirty, gross city where like all the degenerates hang out. It's the kind of place where you go to buy drugs, which I did. Or to maybe even buy people, which I didn't do, which is kind of strange. This is like the first Bethesda game I've played in a while where I didn't end up purchasing like another human being, which is good for me, you know? The best part about this whole Neon trip was I finally worked up the courage to hit on Andrea while Walter watched.
Y'all little sussy bakas are gonna make me act up.
And that was pretty cool, but we got business to do. So the reason we're here is we have to buy one of those artifacts from some shady Asian dude with a faux hawk.
Pussy, Mario haircut.
Of course, he tries to rip us off, but because I'm Ryan Gosling, I was able to persuade him back to the originally agreed price. Which doesn't really matter in the long run, because as soon as we buy it from him, we find out that a CEO at another shipbuilding company placed a bounty on our heads.
You are a crackhead.
So now it's a CEO battle between 2 ship manufacturers, and we're just kind of caught in the middle of it. Walter's sexy wife shows up. God. I can't refer to all the NPCs as sexy, but I think that's just kind of Bethesda's fault for making all the NPCs so sexy. But anyways, she shows up and she like coaches us on how to get into this guy's headquarters, and we eventually talk to him and he agrees to let us have the artifact. But to get it, we have to like throw the faux hawk guy in jail, which I don't give a shit about this guy. Sure, I would have shot him.
I got my axe heads, yo.
But after we leave Neon and go up to orbit, we get this. That's a fucking alien. So the guy piloting this UFO is named Helix, and he's all pissed off because we're getting all the artifacts. He's very cryptic about everything, so we don't really get any information from him, and we just kind of run away because this super futuristic UFO alien spaceship can't catch us if we just fly away from him. Getting back to the lodge, pretty much the whole team just shits their pants when we show them the picture we took of this UFO, and everybody's arguing whether or not they're like aliens or just, you know, some weird religious faction that we haven't met yet. It's definitely aliens. But who ends up ruining that discussion?
Is the metaphor of avenging angels coming down to keep humanity from forbidden knowledge not—
Shut the up!
God, I hate that guy. Yeah, but right after this, my dad gave me a gun. I told him I was going to use it to kill people, and I think it kind of made him nervous.
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
But none of this really matters because it's time to just go collect more artifacts. The next one is one of the more memorable missions. We have to go to this place called the Scow, strange name, and we meet this crazy man who's missing a lot of hair, and he's like a collector of sorts.
I am a sentimental hoarder.
And after a little bit of persuasion, we get him to show us his rock. We get him to show us his rock. Now, we try to buy it off him, but he's not selling it.
No. I can't.
For some reason, this is like a really big part of his collection, even though he's got a bunch of crazy cool stuff. He's got like a 1980s computer. It's like 300 years old at this point. It doesn't seem very cool to us, but that's a pretty cool thing to own in the 2300s. But even though he doesn't accept money, he does accept rapid lead transfer.
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
But after shooting him a bunch, he totally chickens out on dying and is like, no, you can take the rock. And then he just lets us kind of loot his entire ship. And I ran around stealing everything from this guy. You know, I don't even remember his name, but he's one of my more favorite characters in the game. Cool guy. When we get back to the lodge to place the artifact in the gyroscope thing, Vlad calls the table, I guess. I don't know. He calls the table and informs us that he is currently being attacked by a starborn.
Came out of nowhere.
Named the Hunter. But at this point we have a choice. We either go up to the Eye to help them fight the Hunter, or we stay in the lodge to protect the artifacts. I mean, it's kind of a choice. Like, we have the option to go up to the Eye, but as we're going to leave, the Hunter just shows up in the lodge and he's strangling Walter. But oh my god, we can't fight this guy. He's like way too strong for us. So we end up just running away. And this leads to this whole epic chase sequence where we're running through like the underworld of New Atlantis, which I guess the reason New Atlantis looks so pretty is because they keep all the poor people in the sewers.
But I like it better this way, right?
But finally, we escape to our ship, and as we take off, we meet another starborn in orbit named Scorpius. I don't think that's a cool name, but it turns out Scorpius is actually amused with how well we're doing collecting the artifacts, and he doesn't want to kill us. Which, holy shit, finally, I got a little bit more information. It turns out the artifacts are pieces to a thing called an armillary. That's a cool name. That's way better than Scorpius. But anyways, we're building this thing called the armillary so we can get to the Unity. Oh yeah, and Sarah died. Yeah, no, that really sucks. It was like a bummer. But I didn't really care because Andrea is fine. So the next step in this whole process is to put the armillary somewhere else, either on our ship or at an outpost that we create. Which, yeah, outpost building is a part of this game, although they never really explain it very well in the game. Most of the information I learned about outpost building was from YouTube videos, and that's exactly where you'll also learn about it, because I'm not going to explain anything about it. But I just hastily threw up an outpost, and boom, now we have an armillary there. But after we rebuild the armillary, we get to work with Wonder Boy Maddie, because Matteo believes that a priest will be able to help us figure out what the Unity is. But yeah, we have to go talk to a priest.
Yes.
The priest tells us that we need to talk to a couple characters who just kind of give us cryptic nonsense.
The work of the Holy Ghost is to shikalimenda.
I didn't understand at all what the hell they were talking about, but somehow this guy interprets it to mean Indum.
At 4 and 120.
Which just so happens to be the name of a nearby star system, so fuck it, that's where we're going, right? God told us to. And once we get there, we find writings from a person called the Pilgrim. He's just like some delusional maniac who killed himself on some uninhabited planet. But to get access to his writings, we need to pass a quiz on his PC. You could look through his previous writings to get all the answers, but we didn't do that. We just answered with whatever the most spiritual bullshit was, and we passed this test on our first try. The final writing leads us to a place called the Scorpion's Sting. And once we get there, there's a bunch of bugs, but they don't attack, leading us to this dumbass puzzle. Like, the puzzle isn't dumb as in like it's easy to solve. I'm mad because it was pretty easy to solve, but it took me far too long to figure out what the hell I was doing. So if anything, I'm just mad at myself. But after solving it, we find the star that we need to go to. It's right down here. Look at this. And holy shit, the hunter is there.
It can't be.
And he's also with another starborn known as the emissary. I'm pretty sure the hunter is Scorpius and the emissary is Helix. I don't think they ever said that explicitly. I think it's just kind of implied. So I'm happy I put that together. It turns out they're having some sort of meeting and they invite me aboard their ship because I guess they were talking about me. Which, finally, some exposition. Because, you know, at this point I've been playing for a while and I know like 2 words. I have no idea why I'm collecting these space rocks. Once we get aboard, we meet the hunter and the emissary. They explain like a whole lot of the story right here. So basically, the armillary becomes a gateway to the center of the universe, or the multiverse, which is cool, but I don't know. I feel like multiverse is like so overdone now. I'm still on board. I still like it. So basically, these two go back and forth, and it turns out that the Starborn aren't like a unified tribe of people. And in fact, there's like a whole lot of infighting that goes on between them. You guys are like super advanced aliens. Why are you guys still killing each other? Well, it turns out they're not aliens, because the emissary is actually Sarah. Well, not actually her. It's technically her from a different universe, but it's still the same Sarah, kind of. And the hunter is actually the church priest. The emissary, or Sarah, believes that only the worthy should have the artifacts. However, the hunter, or, you know, I don't even remember his name, the priest guy, believes that whoever can acquire the artifacts deserves them. In fact, his outlook on the meaning of existence is that the creators, whoever made the multiverse and everything we know, is just playing a game with us to see who can collect the most artifacts. That might just be the meaning of life.
He's so dumb. He's so dumb.
But now it's up to us to figure out who we're going to side with. But we don't have to decide now. It's just they give us their pitches and then they tell us to go to the moon, secret moon base. But both of these characters have lived hundreds, if not thousands of lives, which is why they eventually let me go, because of all the versions they've seen of, you know, Ryan Gosling, he's never made it this far. But none of this matters yet because we need to finish getting all the artifacts before we can hopefully journey into the multiverse with them and become a Starborn. So after this, we head back to the lodge, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's daughter tells us that she's going to hold a funeral service for Sarah. Too bad, so sad, but I'm not gonna go because I'm gonna be way out of this universe by then. I bet you Matteo's gonna go, and I bet you he's gonna wear that stupid fucking hat. Disrespectful little fucking shit stain. But yeah, we just kind of tell everybody what the armillary does. They all freak out about the idea of a multiverse as if, you know, they didn't really see that coming or anything. And then we're off to find the next 2 artifacts. One of them was just another basic fetch quest, nothing interesting, don't really remember it. I think it was in a cave or something. However, the second one was like stepping into Cloverfield Paradox. Does anybody remember that movie? I feel like I am like one of the only people that remembers that movie. Netflix like launched it after the Super Bowl. They had a Super Bowl ad for it and they dropped the movie, but nobody remembers it. It's like a Mandela effect, which is kind of what the movie's about. But yeah, this is a good mission. But now that it's done and we got the final 2 artifacts, it's time to go to the moon base that the Starborns were talking about.
It's way easier to just go to the moon.
So we go to this NASA moon base and we find old recordings of humans discovering faster than light travel.
Afraid the speed of light is on the slow side these days.
Or FTL for all my scientists out there. The guy talking in most of these recordings, Isa, whatever his name is, I thought he was a Starborn. He's not. He actually touched one of the rocks and he got the visions just like I did, which is how he was able to resolve the gravity equation. There's a whole bunch of neat little tidbits where, you know, some lady scientist is like, oh, I don't know how you do it. You just seem to know what's going on. And he's like, oh, you know, I just guest.
And you keep coming up with something new to try. Like, you know what's going to happen.
It's deeper than that, but whatever. Basically, they found an artifact on Mars and they used it to make grav drives, which sounds sweet. But in doing so, they caused the gravity on Earth to shift. Basically, Earth lost its atmosphere. No more air on Earth. It's all now gone.
Yeah, the planet is dying.
So it was kind of a trade-off. We gained the ability for interstellar travel at the cost of losing our home planet. If you're a rich person, this is a really good deal. You know, f*** Earth, we could just go be rich somewhere else. If you're poor though on Earth, sorry. But the artifact is still at NASA, so we head to Florida. And since I've only been there once, I think they killed it. I mean, this looks just like Miami, right? Right? Looks like Miami. Please don't flag me, Rockstar. It was just a little joke. We all know it's gonna be Vice City. Anyways, we go through the base and it takes forever, but we finally find the last artifact. And in doing so, we piss off like all the Starborns who are fighting for it. So we kill a bunch more of them. We get like essence every time we do it, which I don't even know what it is, but I'm assuming it's a good thing to have. But after we leave NASA, we run into the Hunter and the Emissary again, and we now have to make a choice on who we side with. The Hunter made better points, he's stronger, and he'd likely be more helpful in a fight. And the Emissary seems weak, altruistic, and just kind of out of touch with like how, you know, something like this would actually work. But I chose Sarah because I'm a simp.
I was too distracted by the cuteness of this frickin' helmet.
Anyways, this is getting weird, so let's continue. Now that we have almost all the artifacts, we still have one left. It's in the final temple. It's time for us to gear up for one last final battle. And what's weird to me is the way that the other two Starborns talk about this. It sounds like they've done it like hundreds of times. They'll say shit like, oh, time to end another cycle. Or, God, I love this place. Is this really better than death? Like, you guys are just reliving the same shit over and over again. Like, that kind of sounds like hell. Once we get to the final temple, we gotta kill a few more Starborn, and the first couple aren't tough, but the last one sucks because he makes duplicates of your entire little gang or who you're running around with. When I first did this mission, I didn't realize that I had to kill the actual like Starborn guy, so I spent like 30 minutes just running out of ammo, killing myself and Andrea. But eventually I figured out all you gotta do is kill the one guy, and if you run to the temple, it's like super easy. It's really not hard. But after we figured all that out, we enter the temple and we now need to confront the Hunter. I was prepared for one final like big old pow gun battle. And no, that's not what happened. I just kind of persuaded him on my first attempt. I didn't even have to quick save. I told him that in another life he probably likes tea and enjoys watching movies, and for some reason he's like, yeah, you're probably right. Here you go, here's your artifacts. So he gives us the final artifact pieces. We get a new power for going to another temple. And then the last thing we do is we ask Sarah, you know, what happens when we go into the Unity? It's really scary. It's like getting on a Malaysian airline for the first time. And all she really has to say about it is that we should say goodbye to our loved ones, which I didn't do. I didn't even go back to my parents' house. I didn't talk to anybody from the lodge. I didn't give a shit. Time to become immortal, right? Find him in another life. I moved the armillary over to my ship, and once I added the rest of the artifact pieces, all I had to do was power up my grav drive, and I was in the Unity. Holy shit, is that Ryan Leto? No, dude, that's Jared Gosling.
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
Yeah, so once we power up the grav drive, we get transported to this like weird space ocean thing, and we have a conversation with ourselves. I kind of just ended the conversation as quick as possible because I knew I wanted to walk into the orb. Basically, you either walk into the magic orb and become Starborn and jump to a new universe, or you just walk away and you go back to being regular old universe guy. Which that? What? Are you dumb? Yeah, I'm walking into the orb. And after walking into the galaxy sphere, black hole, we'll call it a black hole. It's kind of like a black hole. Just like Matt Damon did in the movie Interstellar, We enter the black hole and we get credits. I shit you not, the game crashed on the final credits. I mean, it crashed a bunch throughout the game, like maybe a dozen times or so, but it was always when I was loading. It wasn't really a problem that it crashed. It was always quick saved. But I just think there's something poetic about a Bethesda game crashing on the credit screen. After loading back into the game, we are now in orbit in one of the Guardian ships. Yeah, we get our own UFO now because we're starborn. And now we can just kind of replay the game and make different decisions. And I actually think this is like the best way I've ever seen new game done. And after beating it, I immediately proceeded to speedrun the game in about 4 hours. So I beat it twice the first time I beat it. But as I promised, I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but I'm telling you, like, New Game Plus in this, it's way better. It's way better than any other New Game Plus that I've ever experienced. I had more fun playing it like the second and third and fourth time than I did the first time. Oh wait, okay, one last thing. Does anybody else think it's a little strange that everybody's not the same shade of brown? Because you'd think after like 200 years of breeding with each other, we'd all just become the same race. But I guess not. So maybe Todd Howard's just kind of a race.
Make sure you subscribe to the Skater Tot community. Join the family.
Wow, what a great video.